Hello, possums. Good to be with you. Well, summer took its time arriving in Australia. It's 2 months late, but now it's hit. And today will be 90 degrees plus where I live. Eee. I'm getting too old for hot weather, I've decided. Anyway, I want a big shout out to Joe Biden. He's had a good couple of weeks, hasn't he, really? So going to Kiev and Warsaw, good on him. And the visit to the Ukraine represents the first US president to ever go into an active war zone not run by Americans. Wow. So sure, Bush and everybody could go and slice the Thanksgiving turkey, but they were in the green zone. He's the first to step out in this way. So big ups. Good on you, Joe. Okay, so in other news, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene suggesting the separation of the states, finishing Putin's work for him. What can you say? What can you say? So moving on, we're not going to read on her today. Things are happening. They're hotting up. So now the Yeti, Ivanka, and Jared have all been subpoenaed by Jack Smith. So let's have a look at how those subpoenas are going to go. While I'm shuffling with Kushner, I think I was saying in the last video where he's been slumlording for years and there's now some pushback. I'd like to add to that, look, it's my personal philosophy that when people slumlord over vast numbers of people like that, tens of thousands of people, and they do nothing to maintain these properties, they shouldn't be fined. No. They should be made to live in one of their properties for 3 months. And I remember decades ago, I think it was a judge in Chicago or something, did that to a guy. He said he had to stay 90 days in one of his own rat-infested tenements. And I think this is the way forward. But at the moment, I'm reading on the subpoenas for this particular trio. Have you noticed, when you look at pictures of Ivanka and Jared, they're never looking at each other. It's a bit weird. They present side by side, we're the beautiful people and do. There's never any eye contact. So Jared and Ivanka went voluntarily, couldn't get out of it, the Jan 6 committee hearings. So they can't say anything different from then. So how's this going to play out within the dynamics of the family, I think? Yeah, let's have a look. Oh, there's Ivanka. Oh, I think that could be Kushner because he's such a child. The magician, Five of Swords. All right. So what they have to be questioned on is what was the Yeti's mindset on January 6th, right? That's the thrust of this particular thing that Jack Smith is doing. So what do I think here? Look, this is definitely Ivanka. Underneath the King of Cups, normally my Biden card, but in this context, I think it's her testimony. I think, remember when she said, in that little Lolita voice, makes me have violent fantasies. Stop it, Lena. Smacks me. No. She said she didn't believe the election had been stolen and she believed her Attorney General, Bill Barr. like he's her personal AG that she brings out of the handbag. It is so irritating seeing these people in action, but I think that's what it's talking about. Okay. So the boys, her brothers, will be a bit upset by this on two levels. One, because they weren't around on January 6th except to do manic texts across the board. They weren't privy to it. It's so perverse. The family dynamics are so perverse. They almost feel left out by not being subpoenaed. But that's how bizarre this is getting. Now, this is a message about money, but always we must remember with Pentacles about values. How can I make this work for me? So that's the message. I think they will speak and give some degree of testimony, but how can I spin it to make it work for me? The Magician, I'm going to say, could be Jack Smith himself. It even looks a bit like Jack Smith, does it not? And I think he will be merciless. This is the ruthless card. I think he will be ruthless in the best possible way. So I think they're going to have a very uncomfortable period of time testifying about that. Now, in Lee County in Florida, a Republican on the executive committee is pushing a proposal to ban COVID vaccinations, not just discourage them, not just carry on, ban the jab is the slogan. And this is part of, what's going on in Florida at the moment. So I don't know if it'll get up or not, but really these people. So the next thing I am going to read on, Utah, 94 women have formed a class action because they want to sue an Obgyn doctor who molested all of them. 94 women are making this claim. Allegedly, but there's 94 of them, I would just say, of every age group, because he's 70-something now. He set up his practice right next door to Brigham Young University. And so these young, naive women, and literally naive, they're saying that in the filings, apparently Church of the Latter-day Saints, aka Mormons, because of their fixation on virtue and virginity and all of that, so holding out for the wedding night. And apparently it's quite typical social practice to have what's called a prenuptial exam. Yes, I know it sounds like 1624, but it's not. And only to find, when they put this court case together, that in the state of Utah, this shows America is 50 different countries, a doctor can't be charged with sexual assault. After all, he is a doctor, right? So any allegations of sexual impropriety have to be dealt with by the medical board. It's seen as medical malpractice and not as a crime. Now, this is so gobsmackingly outdated. There's even one Republican lawmaker who's saying we have to change the law. He's probably got daughters who went to the said doctor. Who knows what his motivation is, but at least he's put his hand up on the other side of the aisle. So I want to see what's going to happen. Will this lead to a change in law in Utah or not? What's going to happen with this case? Because surely with 94 of them, they're not going to go, oh, well, we'll just go for medical malpractice. Surely there'll be some momentum here. Let's have a look. What will happen with this Utah case about the doctor? I mean, I just can't believe some of the topics I have to read on, Oh, good. That's a bit of momentum. Well, I think as we speak, these women are riled up. I think the conversation between them now is, yeah, let's go ahead. We have to push to change the law as well as have our case heard. So I thought, oh, good. But the rest of the cards, okay. So this is the doctor, and I would say every other unethical doctor in Utah is perfectly comfortable with this arrangement and aren't going to change it. A conversation about shifting the ground and shifting the power balance. With the Six of Cups, it's about an imbalance of power. And what I found most disturbing reading some of the testimony from these women was, well, I was brought up that I must always defer to a man. I'm sorry, I've been out of the Christian mainstream for so long. I find that sentence really hard to process it. I don't know where to put it. I can't explain how this has been allowed to go on. So this is what underlies so much clergy abuse. It's the same. I digress. It's the same with the Catholic Church. They got away with it for so long because of the prestige and veneration that people in everyday communities gave to those priests. They would believe a priest over a child every day of the week. So it's this giving away of power, resulting in a power imbalance. Ace of Cups, if I'd stopped there, I'd be thinking, oh, well, good, happy outcome, la, la, la. But this can also be the card of just a lot of emotion, because the final card was this. So they were in many respects blind to the real dynamic that was going on. This is also a card about whether to go forward legally, all those things. It's how do the courts handle the case, not only the case itself, but if the medical tribunal was smart, they'd be pushing back and saying, yes, in the modern world, meaning since 1902, this should be seen as a crime, so we are not going to continue doing it. They'd be smart to push it away. So I think there's going to be various aspects to this. And I think it's going to be very emotional, because if 94 had come forward, you can be assured there are more. And the chances are they've never told anybody because it's systemic. Right. Okay, what else is on the list here? Now, oh, yes. Tucker Carlson, as a viewer, wrote in Tucker Carlson. I love that. I love that too. So he's still out there defending Putin. I mean, what these people will do for $1. Anyway, I'm not going to read on him. Now, in another Trump case, Judge Amy Berman Jackson, heard her name a few times. Usually a good sentence follows her name. And she has ruled that Trump and Christopher Wray from the FBI can be questioned in a case that is being brought by 2 FBI agents. Now, do you remember, there's so much goes on every day, and this was in the teeth, I think, of the Mueller investigation. And 2 young FBI agents, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, it transpired they were having a bit of an extramarital fling, at least on one side, and they exchanged some text messages about the Yeti. It's wrong, really wrong, should not have done it. However, given what everyone else has got away with, they were then sort of blacklisted from the FBI for this. Now, I'm a bit ambivalent in the sense that I would say, yes, good job, do that. You shouldn't be exchanging pillow talk with your lover about a major case, a national case. No, but so many other people have got away with so much. So anyway, will anything happen with this case is my next question. So this is all around the FBI. So the Yeti, Christopher Wray, Peter Strzok, and what's her face, Lisa Page. Okay. Let's have a look. Will anything happen with this case? What's going forward? Have they got a case? Let's have a look. Huh? Lisa Page, the Page of Pentacles. All right. So with this, I think this Page of Pentacles represents both him and her. I think this is Peter and Lisa, actually, bringing their message, and it's about their messages to the table. Okay. I think there's going to be a lot of flurry and wind about this case for a minute because it's so congested in the news cycle. And this case is already 3 or 4 years old in terms of the public mind and stuff. I don't know that it's going to stay there. There's a bit of a juggle, which I think is a legal juggle, right? A bit like I was just saying, they did the wrong thing, but then they were wronged disproportionately for what they did, sort of thing. So I think this is the legal argy-bargy. Strategically, I think they are going to go ahead. And their outcome is the Nine of Pentacles, which for me is, I think what they're going for is reinstatement of lost income or something like that. I suspect they'll be all right. They'll get a sort of mini win from the FBI, but not as much, even perhaps as this card suggests. I don't think we're talking multi-mil here. It's just going to be a bit of vindication. Okay. Now, I really want to talk about Ohio and the leak of the vinyl chloride. And of course, the Republicans slept in saying it was Pete Buttigieg's fault and blah, blah, when everyone knows who has a working brain. It's because the Yeti rolled back these environmental protections that had happened in the first place. But we're going back to the Dems not being marvellous at doing those aggressive sound bites and saying that. So it's dooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Now, I have an issue, and that issue is Pete Buttigieg is a very smart guy. He has very high level of cut through with Republican voters, even hyper-Christian Republican voters. He can do it. He speaks 7 languages, and I am really angry, like it matters, that the administration has buried him alive in transportation. And I've said this before, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, the planes are going to be snowed in. Why make it Pete Buttigieg's fault, right? You put some old war horse in transportation who can weather the storms. No one remembers his name or her name because they're that sort of lawmaker. That's what you do. You don't put a high profile, potential high flyer in a transport gig. No, yuck. And did you see, intrepid viewers, Erin Brockovich is taking this one on because I'm sure she follows all these big public environmental disasters, but she has said, I will support the people in this. And so that's symbolically important. So what's going to happen with Ohio? Because it's so early, we don't even know who's suing who. But what happens, and it's the same in Australia, any environmental disaster involving a coal mine or uranium mine or any sort of mine, we're really big on mines. For some reason, 4 hours after the event, everyone's assured not a problem. Doesn't matter what the substance is, doesn't matter the degree of the leak. 4 hours later, we're told that, it's safe to drink the water and breathe the air. How could it possibly be safe? It's like when we lost the radioactive thing in the middle of the Australian desert some weeks ago or something. They found it, but not the point. But it was safe, so that's okay. All right. So I want to look at the Ohio Code. Where's Michael Moore when you need him? He did that great doco on Flint, Michigan and the water because he's a Flint, Michigan boy. Bless Michael Moore. So I'm sure something will come out soon. What's happening about that? Utah. I'm just leaving it open-ended. What's going to happen about that? Wow. Goodness me. What a weird spread. This is a weird spread. I've only pulled 5 cards. 3 are major arcana and a matching king and queen. Now, before I even get into the content of the cards, just that, for those of you learning tarot, it's a bit like having a full house in poker. When you have a smallish spread and it's all big cards, you've got to take note in itself, even over and above what each specific card is. So the first card I drew was the Lovers. Now, this is, in this context, I would say, about people joining together to fight this case and to sustain it, i.e. the people and environmental activists and somebody and somebody and somebody. This is a coming together for the common good. Queen of Cups. Now, King and Queen of Cups can represent the parents in a personal reading. I'm keeping this as the Biden card for now. So the Queen of Cups, I think, represents the mothers of this district who are actually concerned that this highly toxic carcinogenic substance was released. Of course, it's going to be shrouded in secrecy. Oh, we don't know quite what we're doing. Oh, no, I don't know who signed off on that. Oh, I didn't think it was that bad. There's going to be endless fudging. Fudge. Predictably, nothing is going to happen quickly, not with this hangman, right? But the other aspects of the hangman come into play with this question, which I love. I don't love the delays, but the other 2 are important. So yes, delays. 2, upside down, new perspective, meaning some dyed-in-the-wool magophiles might actually, realize, oh, this affects me. Oh, far out. Nobody told me that. Oh, there might be a bit of a shift. Dare to hope, dare to dream. 3rd, sacrifice. The health of this community has been sacrificed or compromised now, and individuals will be a sacrifice for the greater good. But who wants to be that sacrifice? Who wants their 12-year-old to have generational illness from these fiendish chemicals? It's just appalling. So this is going to drag out. But back to Biden, I think this is going to give him, I know he's been a busy man for full months, but when you're president and you're not the Yeti, you actually have to do lots of things at the same time. And one of the things I was hoping that the Dems, not just literally Joe, his team should have been doing from 5 years ago, was every time the Yeti sacked, either closed a department down, take note who worked in that department, what was their job. When people were sacked and replaced by, Mr. My Pillow and stuff, I hope they have a solid HR list of who was sacked, because that's a lot of knowledge that was pushed out the door during the years of the Yeti. And it is incumbent on Biden and the Dems to really get the EPA and other agencies up to speed right now. Right now. It's no good, and this happens in Australia, UK, everyone else. The Conservatives will do something appalling. And Labor or the Dems will jump up and down, but when they get in, there's always too much to do and they never get back to repairing that damage. This environmental stuff, the Dems need to be acting on it now and talking about it a lot. A lot. So I hope this isn't in vain. That's what I think the sacrifice element is. Hopefully it's not in vain. This will be a wake-up call for other regional, rural communities and so forth. But given that no government seems to be able to get drinkable water out of a tap in Jackson, Mississippi or Flint, one can't be too optimistic, but one has to aim high. Drinking water in the first world, you know, aim high, go for it. All right, the mistress of sarcasm. Sorry about that. Must have been the mood I was in. Okay, lots of love. See you soon. Ciao. Oh, are you still there? No? All right.